Gino Bartali saved over 600 Jewish people's lives from the Nazis in Germany by riding his bike. Only after he passed, it was revealed that he was secretly transporting fake identity cards and forged documents to hidden Jewish people in the handlebars of his bike. Gino Bartali had furthered our communication skills and ideas politically, culturally, and militarily due to his extremely determined mind and hard-working body. He would take the fake documents from Florence to Assisi, Italy, on his bicycle and communicate with the people in the other city to update them on what was going on. He would do this several times back to back when it was an extremely rigorous task that would take about 4 days to get there. Although it was difficult, it was worth it considering how many lives he was able to save. He was an incredible man that would help out as much as he could, not for fame, but for the people in need. On September 1st, 1939, World War II was started. During the war, the Nazis started to capture Jewish people left and right to bring them to concentration camps. At these camps, Jewish people would either be killed, tortured, used as free labor, or experimented on. The Nazis would do all these horrific actions merely because past European history did not agree with the Jewish culture. The Jewish people were being killed at an extreme rate, and this is where people started to step in and try to help. This was super difficult because all of the concentration camps were super protected, and the Jewish people were being killed at very high rates, which was very hard to stop. Soon enough, people started to figure out that they wouldn't really be able to stop the people from being killed or tortured. They could only possibly lessen the amount of people being captured. People started to hide Jewish people in their houses or barns or even underground. Everyone was doing everything they could to stop the Jewish culture from being killed. Another way that they tried to protect the Jewish people is that they would make these fake identity cards that would say they aren't Jewish and would say that they're originally from the area and weren't trying to immigrate or hide. Secret officials got together and started to make a ton of fake identity cards. The only issue is that it was really hard to get the cards to the Jewish people in secret. That's where Gino Bartali comes in. The Pope of a Catholic church in Italy met up with Gino to talk to him about starting to work with the military. It was protocol for civilians to help out in wars, but Bartali was well known, so the Pope had already heard about him. He thought that it would be a good idea to use Gino's skills in their favor. It took a lot of thinking and creativity, but after a while, they came up with the idea of hiding fake identity cards in the bar handles of Gino's bike, so he would be able to bike from one city in Italy to the next, transporting the fake identity cards safely and discreetly. This was genius because everyone in Italy knew Bartali, so it wouldn't be uncommon to see him biking on the streets. Whenever people tried to stop him, he would simply say that he was training, and no one ever thought twice about it. Gino Bartali would start out his path to transporting the identity card. This path would be way too far to walk, and cars were starting to get searched more because of the war. Transporting the documents in a car would have been even more suspicious. Gino was the best solution that they could think of, so they decided that this would be the best way to do it. He would try to take side roads, but would often have no choice other than to go onto main roads. He was really nervous about this, because going into a mainstream road in daylight could be very dangerous and people might be suspicious of him. However, people never stopped him when they saw him, since he was already well known and they didn't want to interrupt his training. People started to look out for him in excitement, waiting for him to pass by their town so that they could cheer him on. This started to become a common thing where the civilians would figure out his schedule and wait in excitement the day that Bartali was supposed to pass their town. Even though Gino took main roads for some of the trip, he also had to take side roads and shortcuts that were extremely tiring and would be very difficult to bike on. They were rough, bumpy paths or steep, cold mountains that he would have to ride up. Bartali would be given photos of Jewish people once he got to Assisi, and would take them back to Florence where they would make them into forged identity cards with the Jewish people's faces on them. He would take the identity cards back to Assisi and the pattern would repeat hundreds of times. The first few cards that he transported were almost like a trial run, where he just took random pieces of paper and would put them in his bike. The main reason for this was to see if anyone would be suspicious of him and trying to stop him. Thankfully, no one seemed to be fazed when they saw him biking around. Their plan had worked, and the people that the documents were for were led to safety and were not caught. Bartali was the communicator who would make everyone and everything happen in secret. He was the connector and the executor that made everything work out. Everyone else would make the documents and find the pictures, but none of that would ever be possible without Gino Bartali.
Gino Bartali came to the house where my family and I were hiding with the false documents. If the police had found Bartali bringing us false documents, they would have sent him to prison or they would have killed him.
Bartali put his life in danger, his personal life. He put in danger in order to save my life and my family life.
A lot of people assume that since Gino didn't actually make the fake documents and hide the Jewish people themselves, he didn't contribute to the saving of the Jewish culture. However, the military and spies were struggling because they couldn't figure out a secret form of transportation that they wouldn't get caught executing. Gino took a simple, everyday toy and used it to save hundreds of lives. This genius idea brought people back together because of the brilliance and skills that the entire process took to make. Bartali had furthered our communication skills and ideas politically, culturally, and militarily due to his extremely determined mind and hard-working body. Gino's work had helped with his political side of communication because after people started to find out what he did for the Jewish culture, he gave them hope in the middle of this chaotic war and made them believe that even though people are suffering, there are people constantly trying to help out, and sooner than later, things will get better, the war will end, and they will be safe. Gino Bartali also assisted people in further communication culturally because even decades after everything that Gino did, people were still honoring him. A group of people opened up a boarding school in Bartali's honor and decided to have their main form of physical fitness be riding bicycles. Gino was a hero to many people, especially the Jewish culture. Even to this day, the Jewish still honor him and cherish his actions. They have his bike framed in a museum in Italy. Bartali's actions created new ideas to assist people in the future, saved hundreds of lives, making their families and ancestors forever grateful to him, and made it possible for Jewish people to live normal lives without having to worry about people like Hitler or the Nazis. Later, Gino Bartali helped with communication militarily because just before Bartali, people were starting to use bikes in wars and would even ride them in wars, creating a good advantage in the war. Gino then started to use the bike idea to save people's lives. He carried on the idea and used it in a completely different way, furthering the use of bicycles. Gino Bartali was an amazing biker who helped hundreds of Jewish people during the war. He was loved all over Italy because of his assistance with the war and all the good he did for Italy. Bartali helped the world culturally with their political issues and with their military issues. Jewish lives will forever be different because of Bartali and his amazing bicycle skills and sneakiness. He furthered communication and helped our world become what is like today. He has been an inspiration all over the world with his generosity, selflessness, and perseverance. It will forever be known as the amazing athlete who put others first, saving hundreds of lives.